Have you been told that your menstrual cycle is off because it doesn't run on a 28-day clock? You've probably been told that it's all about your ovaries and your uterus. And when something's off, your hormones need to be fixed. So what do? A lot of times they throw birth control at it and try to regulate it. But here's the thing. Your body's not broken. It's actually brilliant. Quick note, I'm Dr. Joseph Capri, and I'm a muscle and joint pain specialist. This is not what I do. So I'm just explaining how the body works, the basics. And I have to say, there is no YouTube video where the speaker becomes your doctor. So this does not replace any medical advice. Please go to your OBGYN if you have any questions. Look, I've got women in my life that I love, and when I went on YouTube to look for a video from an OBGYN to show them, there was nothing there that was good. I didn't like any of them. So, if you can forgive the mansplaining, I want to empower you to understand your cycle so that you can work with it and stop blaming it or trying to control it. I want you to understand the basics. I want you to be able to fight off all of the information out there that's so anxiety producing. And I want you to be able to ask better questions so that you can work with your OBGYN towards your best reproductive health. Hey, if you've been taught to track your menstrual cycle with an app or with a calendar, I want you to think about this. Your ovaries don't read calendars. Your uterus doesn't care that the perfect date is April 25th. And your hormones are not just stupid chemicals waiting around to clock in so they can do their job. The truth is that your menstrual cycle is not run by a clock. It's run by your brain. Yeah, the brain starts the cycle, it responds to your stress, it's shaped by the decisions that you make about what's going on in the world around you, even if they're not conscious thoughts. Somewhere between the ages of 8 and 13, a part of your brain called the hypothalamus, which is basically hormone headquarters, is signaled that you're ready to start your cycle. So it initiates it. Your DNA plays a big role in this because it carries all the information about what's possible for you, and it helps determine when you'll start. But also, you have to have enough body fat to sustain reproduction, which is around 17%. If you don't reach that threshold, then your hypothalamus is going to stay inhibited, so it can't start. Before that, it's like your body has the brakes on. With the brakes off, the hypothalamus starts pulsing out GnRH. GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonado refers to the ovaries. Tropin means to stimulate. Releasing hormone means it stimulates other hormones. A hormone made by the brain, specifically the hypothalamus, that tells another part of the brain, the pituitary, to release other hormones that act on the ovaries. The GnRH tells the front portion of another part of your brain, the pituitary gland, to release two other hormones, FSH and LH. The pulsing part is important because if it pulses slow, you get more FSH, and if it pulses fast, you get more LH. Now, you were born with thousands of follicles. Follicle, from the Latin folliculus, which means a small bag or a sac. It's a tiny fluid-filled sac in the ovary that holds the egg and helps it grow and mature during the menstrual cycle. And one of those hormones, FSH, wakes a group of them up. Follicle-stimulating hormone. The follicle is a small sac that holds an egg in the ovary. Stimulating means to activate or encourage, and a hormone is just a chemical messenger. So FSH is just a hormone that activates a bunch of follicles in your ovary and stimulates them to start maturing. And they start to race to see who can become mature fastest. As they race, they produce estrogen. Estrogen, from the Latin estro, which means fertility. And gen is producing. Estrogen is producing fertility. It's a group of hormones that develop female characteristics and prepare the body for pregnancy. Most important one in the cycle is estradiol. This is where breast development comes from. It's called thelarchy. There are changes in your cervical mucus. You get growth spurts and emotional changes. Eventually, one follicle wins the race, and estrogen gets high enough to trigger a surge of LH. Luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing from luteus, which just means yellow. LH is a hormone that stimulates ovulation and transforms the follicle into a progesterone-producing corpus luteum. And this surge of LH is your brain's signal to start ovulating for the first time. Ovulate comes from ov, which means egg, and ulate means to undergo a process. So this is just the release of the egg. If ovulation succeeds, the ruptured follicle becomes the corpus luteum, which makes progesterone. Corpus luteum, or yellow body. Corpus, which means body, and luteum, which is yellow. This is the leftover part of the follicle. After it releases the egg, it turns yellow and starts producing progesterone to prepare the body for pregnancy. Progesterone. Pro means for, like as in pro versus con. Pro means for. And gest is pregnancy specifically or to carry. And eron is just a suffix to say that this is a hormone. Progesterone is a hormone that prepares the body for pregnancy. It makes the uterus lining strong and healthy and calms the body's systems down to support a potential baby. If there's no fertilization, progesterone levels fall, and this causes your uterine lining to break down, and it's released. This is your first menstrual period, called menarche. Menarche. Men means month, and arche is just the start of something, so it's the girl's first period, the beginning of the cycle. Fun fact, the first few periods are typically anovulatory. Anovulatory. An means without, and ovules, obviously the egg. So this is where a girl looks like she's having a period, she's bleeding, but there's no egg released. Your brain and ovaries are still practicing. So you might get bleeding without ovulation, or a corpus luteum making progesterone. It's like warming up the car. The AC and the heat don't work right away. They have to warm up. It's okay though. You have to give the brain-ovary connection time to warm up. It's called the HPO axis. The HPO axis is the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis. It's just that they work together. Hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and the ovaries work together. It's the communication network between your brain and your ovaries that control your menstrual cycle. After that, at the end of your cycle, when progesterone and estrogen levels drop, your body's like a movie director that's like, okay, cut, let's reset, we're gonna do this again, get this lining out of here. I hope you're really enjoying this video, and we'll get back to it in a minute. I'm Dr. Capri, the painkiller, and I'm really excited to tell you about my powerful new book, The Pain-Free Life. The reason your muscle and joint pain takes so long to go away is because you started with the wrong first step. See, pain is your body's warning system, and if you silence it without understanding it, you'll stay hurt longer than you need to be, and you'll set yourself up to be hurt worse later. The Pain-Free Life shows you how to read your body's signals so you can heal faster. Comment steps below, and I'll send you the information on where to get your copy. Okay, back to your video. And this is the cycle. Phase 1. The hypothalamus, which is hormone HQ, sends out GnRH, which tells the anterior pituitary to release FSH and LH. That release of FSH tells your ovaries to get this month's follicles ready to start. That gets you into phase 2, which is called the follicular phase. It's called that because just like a marathon, a bunch of follicles start the race. Okay, to make this simple, the follicle has 3 things. The outer layer is called the theca. These little grains are the granulosa cells, and you've got the egg in the middle. LH tells the theca to take cholesterol and turn it into androgens. FSH stimulates the follicle to take these androgens and make them estrogen. Now, there are 3 types of estrogen. The one that you want is estradiol. The way you get estradiol versus the other two types of estrogen is that these androgens have to have a middle step where your body makes testosterone. Then it can convert it to the right type of estrogen. And this is where the cycle varies in its time frame. How fast can one follicle become dominant and win the race? The dominant follicle typically emerges between days 5 and 7. So right around the time you stop bleeding, it emerges. And it's the one that produces the most estradiol. It also produces another hormone called inhibin. Inhibit is to stop. And that IN, the N, is a substance. Inhibin is a hormone that the dominant follicle sends out to the brain to stop FSH so that the other follicles can't grow. The follicles that are inhibited, they end up going through atresia. Atresia. A means without, and tresia means development or opening. So this is the natural breakdown or death of the follicles that didn't win the race to ovulate. So the more estradiol the dominant follicle makes, the faster the hypothalamus pumps out GnRH. And instead of a follicle-stimulating hormone, it pumps out luteinizing hormone until it rises to the finish line, which is this threshold where there's a big surge of LH. While this is happening, the dominant follicle is also sending out hormones to thicken the inner layer of your uterus, called the endometrium, to prepare for a possible pregnancy. When that LH surge happens, it's like your body is yelling to the dominant follicle, "Release the egg!" And we're in phase 3. Now from here on out in the cycle, the timeline's usually pretty stable, 14 days. Now, at this point, we need to draw the terminal of the Richmond Airport, right? Don't ask me why, but the terminal looks a lot like a uterus and fallopian tubes. And now you can't unsee it. Anyway, let's draw the ovaries. Okay, so ovaries here. Okay. Now, once the follicle hears, "Release the egg," what happens is, if you come back over here, what's happening is the egg will migrate to the edge, over here, and the follicle will rupture, allowing the egg to come up. So, if we go back over here where the ovary is, this is happening here. The egg is now out in the space in your body. Little finger-like projections grab it from the fallopian tube and pull it in, okay? If it's going to be fertilized, it's going to happen here in the next 24 hours. Side note, here's some ways to tell whether you're ovulating. About 40% of women experience a pain on one side of their stomach below their belly button. It's called Mittelschmerz. Mittelschmerz, German for middle pain. It's a brief pain that some women feel during ovulation, usually on one side of the belly below the belly button. And you might notice that it's not always on the same side. There are follicles in both ovaries, and we never know which one's going to become dominant. 2, if you track your temperature, you'll notice the day after ovulation, your temperature will be like half a degree or a degree higher. Progesterone does that. 3, you have a clear, stretchy cervical mucus. You'll probably notice that in one of 3 ways. Either you'll just feel a little more wet down there, or when you're going to the bathroom and you're wiping, you'll be like, man, this toilet paper moves easier. Or you could stick a finger in there just to get some mucus and rub it between your thumb and your finger and pull it apart. And if it goes for more than an inch before it breaks, that is classic ovulation cervical mucus. Cervical mucus. Cervical means from the cervix, which is just the lower part of the uterus. And mucus is slippery fluid. So this is a fluid that's made by your cervix that changes during your cycle. When it becomes clear and slippery like an egg white, then that means that you're ovulating. Okay, now that we know what happened to the egg, what happened to the dominant follicle that got it there? When this follicle bursts to allow the egg to leave, it kind of goes ugh, and settles down, and LH does its thing and causes it to take cholesterol and become yellow. That's why it becomes the corpus luteum. It's now a yellow body releasing progesterone. Luteal, we talked about that one before. Luteal means yellow, and it's the stage where the corpus luteum produces progesterone to get your body ready for pregnancy. Progesterone stabilizes the uterine lining, making sure that there's enough energy and blood flow to support any possible pregnancy. And it tells the immune system to chill out so it doesn't attack the fetus as if it's some intruder. And it tends to make you more calm and introspective. Sometimes you can get moody. And here we come to a crossroads. Was the egg fertilized? If so, then it'll implant in the uterus in about a week. And the baby cells will start secreting HCG. HCG is human chorionic gonadotropin. Chorionic means from the chorion, which is the outer membrane of the fetus. And gonadotropin is a hormone that affects the gonads, so ovaries in females and testes in males. So it's a hormone made by the fertilized egg, the early fetus, that mimics LH so that it can continue producing the progesterone that's going to support the uterus health and allow the pregnancy to continue until the placenta takes over in week 9 or 10. It's also what pregnancy tests check for. Now, HCG will mimic LH and will take over getting the corpus luteum to keep pumping out progesterone. And it keeps doing that until about week 9 or 10 when the placenta takes over. If not, then there's nothing to keep the production of progesterone going. So its level drops, and that drop of progesterone will cause the blood flow and the nutrients to your uterus's lining to just dry up. And without those nutrients, it dies. And we're back to the movie director yelling, cut, reset, let's do it again, get this lining out of here. And you get your period. And that is the menstrual cycle. It's brain-led, not time-led. It was true the first time when puberty started, and it's true now. Understanding puts you in a position of strength and clarity. And your brain's not just tracking your hormone levels, it's also listening to you. It reacts to your stress levels, it reacts to your nutrition, it reacts to your sleep, and it reacts to your sense of safety. That's why things like undereating or overeating, poor sleep, and not handling stress well, they can disrupt your cycle. So, if it comes too early or too late or not at all, your hormones are not being crazy. Your body isn't random. It's responding to everything that life is throwing at you. It's giving you real-time updates. It's probably trying to protect you. It's like, yeah, now's not a good time to get pregnant. So, I would encourage you to listen to your body. Work with it. Don't try to control it. Oh, hey, thanks for still being here. I'm guessing that since you stuck with it until the end that you found some value in this video. Will you do me a favor? Along with all the YouTubey things like clicking like and subscribing so you don't miss any of our videos, here's my request. Can you share this video with someone else that you think will like it too? Thank you. You're still here? What do you want? The video's over. I can't help you anymore right now. Look, if you have a question, drop it in the comments and I'll answer you, okay?